coming out, and we're going to invite one more speaker. And introduce, this is Sandra McDowell.
Well, I am so excited to see so many people out here. Good for you. Good for you for standing up for your rights, because they're being trampled on this year. And this is about control. This is all about control. Controlling us. The government controlling us. What's wrong with that statement? The government doesn't control us. We control them. And they need to understand that, because I think they've forgotten. I'm Saundra McDowell. I ran for governor this year, and I lost in the primary, but I was all over the state, and I heard the people, and I heard all the issues around the state, and I do think that people are getting mad. They're getting mad all across Missouri. This is a huge issue here in St. Louis, and it's happening across Missouri. But to me, St. Louis is the leader in Missouri. And it's also the leader in this nation, and it really should be. But that's why you have George Soros here in St. Louis. That's why you have Kim Gardner and Sam Page and all the people doing here what they're doing, because St. Louis is so important to the nation. And it's very important in Missouri, but it is also very important to the nation. And what I've been speaking about this whole year while I was campaigning for governor is that we need a revival here in this nation. And this year is about that, but it's also about a revolution. And Bernie Sanders and all these socialist communists have taken these terms and they've switched them into these bad things. But we do need a revolution. We need to take back our government for the good. And we need to bring God back into our government and back into our schools. And that is what this year is about. So don't think that they're not listening to us. I'm speaking very loudly because they are listening to us. And they're listening to you out here. And so I'm so proud of you. I am so thankful for all of you. Keep fighting. Keep standing up for yourself. Stand up for yourself in front of your children. I saw children out on the street with our family here. I want to say our protesters that are here with us. Good for you. Stand up in front of your children. You know, when I take my children out to the stores that are mandating masks, I verbally say, we don't agree with this. I will put it on them, and we'll be in here as a short amount of time as we have to, because we have to get something, but I do not agree with this. And we have actually walked out of stores. We've walked out of many stores. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need what I came in here for that bad. But I will also tell you, the workers, most of them will say, I don't agree with it either. I don't agree with it either. Good for you. So they think the same way. They have to wear them. I get it. But these businesses cannot keep restricting people, or they should lose business, in my mind. So I encourage you to do that as well. Make the businesses hurt. Make Lowe's and Walmart and Home Depot and Target, make them hurt. You don't have to shop there. Find somewhere else to shop until they lift these restrictions. Start boycotting these places, because they're going to be losing a lot of money because of the control that is being placed on the people this year. And it's going to get worse if we don't continue to stand up for ourselves. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. I actually came here to talk for Paul Berry. Paul Berry is running for county exec. Paul Berry wishes he could be here. He's actually meeting with some mayors to get their endorsement today, so he had planned to be here. So he reached out to me to see if I would speak on his behalf. We have to get rid of Sam Page. We have to. And how do you do that? You do that through voting, right? You have to get people out to vote. You have to tell them who's running, because a lot of people don't know. You all are in the know. You guys know what's going on, but your average, people that are out there, your family, your neighbors, they don't know what's going on. But they may still be going in to vote. So, and they still have time to register, right? So everybody knows when the deadline to register for November is? I don't either. When is it? We need to find that out, right? So we need to figure that out. So Jennifer, can you post that on the site, or someone that's on the Freedom Fighter site? Can you guys post the deadline to register? So get out, get people to register to vote. It's probably like 30 days or so out, so we still have time. And then tell them about Paul Berry, okay? Paul Berry, if you have a hard time remembering this, he is the nephew of Chuck Berry. So pretty cool, right? Who doesn't like Chuck Berry? So I know Paul Berry. I've known him for a while. He ran for county exec in 2018 when I ran for state auditor. So he has been in politics. He has been out there getting to know St. Louis. He's from this area. He really is gaining a lot of support. It is very difficult, as you know, here in St. Louis County for a Republican. okay? It's very difficult, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. People are upset with what's going on. Not just Republicans, Democrats are too. This is a bipartisan issue. There are a lot of Democrats that also don't agree with the mandate. So talk to everybody. Anybody you talk to, ask them, are you registered to vote? Do you know who's running for county exec? Because we need to get rid of Sam Page. He is taking away our constitutional rights. And things are going to get worse. Like I said, George Soros is in St. Louis. George Soros is funding these liberal slash socialist slash communist leaders in this area. And it's not going to get better until we start demanding the things that we want to see government do. So that's up to us. That's up to all of you. So get out and tell people about this election, obviously telling them to vote for Trump also, but also to vote for Paul Berry. He is the only one on there on the Republican ticket for county exec. And, I don't have to tell you how important this election is. 2020 is crucial. It is crucial. This is basically a fork in the road. Either we make really good decisions this year and we vote for the right people, or we lose a lot more of our rights and our freedoms, because that's what they're doing. These squad members in Congress, they're trying to destroy America. And we have another one running right here in Missouri, Cori Bush, who wants to join the squad. So we will have our own squad member here if she gets elected. So look, boo, exactly. We do not want to be on the national stage for having a squad member in the state of Missouri. They want to defund Homeland Security. They want to defund the police. They want to destroy America. That's what they're really wanting to do. They're evil. So we need to stand up and fight. We need to get Sam Page out of office. We need to make sure Cori Bush does not get elected as well. Just get out and speak and tell people about what's going on. I know religion and politics are two of the most difficult things to speak about. I know that. But I will also tell you, I've been doing it all year long. Running for governor, I have been talking about Jesus and about politics. And nobody walked out. Nobody, threw a tantrum. Nobody said anything about it negatively. In fact, everyone afterwards came up to me and said, Saundra, I'm so glad you're talking about God. I'm so glad that you're standing up for the people and doing what the people need to be done this year. And we need more people like that, but we need people to not be scared to talk about God and about politics. You know why they're two of the most difficult things to talk about? Because they're two of the most important things to talk about. But they want to shut you down on that, just like they're controlling us through these mask mandates and social distancing and all the other ridiculously, I don't even know what you call it. There's such nonsense. Walking into a restaurant with a mask on to go sit at a table to take your mask off and eat. What? Have we lost our common sense? And then a waiter or waitress going to each table with the same water jug or you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So we all know that. And common sense has been thrown out the window this year. But we understand the real reason. It's because of control. And they are wanting to continue to control us. And we can't let that happen. And that's why you're here. So let's clap for being here again, because I am so proud of you guys. Keep fighting. I just encourage you to get out and talk. Talk to people, talk to anyone that you encounter about this election, about how crucial it is, about how you don't agree with masks, because you'll be surprised with how many people actually agree with you on that. People that are wearing masks. And you know what? It's something that happened at Target the other day. This lady, I didn't have any of my kids in masks. They just kind of had them hanging down, and mine was hanging off my face. And this lady coming out, of course, Target workers didn't say anything to me. But the lady, patron of Target, was walking out, and she said something to me about, oh, you really need to make sure your masks are pulled up over your nose and over your face. And I said, you know what? It's none of your business. Because it's not. It is none of your business. I said, mind your own business, keep walking. Do not talk to my kids, do not talk to me, it's none of your business. She went on, but I will tell you this, everybody in Target was watching. The lady behind me said, good for you. Good for you. I'm so proud of you. Out in the parking lot, a man comes up, what'd she say to you? What'd she say to you? Oh, that's funny. Good for you, good for you. People are watching, they agree with you. That one loud person that wants to say something, that is a minority. They're just loud, right? They're loud. So we have to be louder. So if someone says something about don't wear a mask, tell them it's none of your business. It is my constitutional rights. It's a religious exemption because I believe that God is part of our founding principles. Our nation was founded on biblical principles, and our nation was founded on God, and this is a constitutional issue. So to me, it's a God issue. It is a religious issue. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because that's in fact true. So stand up for yourself, keep fighting. I really appreciate you guys being here. There's going to be more stuff to come to, and we're going to keep fighting. Talk about Paul Berry. Remember him? Look him up if you don't know much about him. He's a good guy. He's a hard worker. And we've got to win that seat. We've got to take it away from Sam Page, okay? Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Sandra. Good job getting down. Thank you guys for coming out. Katie's going to wrap up with a few action items that I think would be helpful to sort of unify, get a single voice. You know, I think that maybe one parting thought here, one parting thought in an incredibly divided and bitter and hateful world that we have seen exposed in 2020, one parting thought, as I have been torn apart on social media by 40-year relationships, one parting thought: turn the other cheek. Say your piece, but turn the other cheek. That is what we are about at Faces for Freedom. Say it, show up, vote, but turn the other cheek. We will follow in our Savior's footsteps, who commands us to deny ourselves, take up our crosses, and follow him. I disagree with Christians that say we shouldn't be here. No. The Apostle Paul can defend his Roman citizen rights before he is flogged and use legal means to say his piece and get protected. By the way, we can do this and should do this, but be prepared. And love, unconditional love, is the only answer to this country and world's problems. Go out, vote. Thank you for showing up. We love you. Katie's got some practicals. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. I feel like such a lady being assisted onto the stage like that. Very nice. Everyone should try that afterwards. Thank you again so much for coming out. We do have some action items. I see some petitions and some information being circulated throughout the crowd. Go ahead and take a minute to sign that. If you go to our website, facesforfreedom.org, you will find a tab that says action items. We've got the governor's phone number and information there. We've got Sam Page's phone number and information there. And we recommend that you call every day. We did hear that if Governor Parsons receives 100 phone calls to his office every day, that he would at least consider lifting the state of emergency. So let's do it, okay? So let's do that. Also, we have some petitions that are in works, and they will be on the website once they are completed. Petitions to remove the mask ordinance in St. Louis County, and also petitions to reopen our schools. So again, I echo what Randy said. A gentle answer turns away wrath. I know this to be true on Facebook when I've had people say that, well, I'm not a Christian and I don't care about people and I don't love people because I don't want to wear a mask. And instead of arguing with them, I just present my facts and bless them and go on my way. And honestly, I haven't had anyone return and say, like, you're such an idiot. Because you can't argue with love. Am I right? And facts, that's right. Okay, so those are your action items. Go to facesforfreedom.org And then also, we really wanted you to spend the last few minutes here. We've got 10 more minutes before our rally is officially over. We want you to meet each other. We are partners in crime here, for lack of a better term. We are the ones that are supporting one another and supporting freedom in St. Louis County. Get to know each other, talk to each other, exchange information, get your Facebook information out to one another, because that is what we are going to do. There was another recommendation, which is actually kind of great. We were going to meet in front of the building on the street, but as you noticed, they were doing like asphalt stuff. How dare they on our rally day? I don't know. But one of the good ideas was, if you want to take your sign and march around the block so that other people in the Clayton area can see us, that would be most welcome. So that's it for today. Meet each other. Don't turn around without meeting someone.
I am a Vietnam veteran. I went to Vietnam 2 months after I turned 18, and I went in January 6th of 1968, and all my family members were telling me that I was a hero and everything else. I didn't believe that, but that's what they told me. Then we came home on January 6th and wound up in Seattle, and we were going to get off the plane and walk over to this one hangar, and the officer in charge told us we couldn't do it. He said we had to walk down this sidewalk next to a building because there was a mass of hippies behind a fence out there calling us baby killers and murderers and everything else. And that year on up was the worst that we ever had in our country at that time. This is going to sound very familiar, and that's why I'm talking about this. We had guys out on the streets beating the crap out of other people. We had people out there robbing. They were out there going in the stores like they are now, tearing up the stores and stealing everything they could. And they were ruining the lives of everybody, but especially us. And a lot of people don't realize, because of that crap, there's only about 10% of the combat vets of Vietnam still alive. And they did it with that, because they wanted to tear our country down, and they were working with the Democrats, who are now the progressives, to destroy our country. That was their main goal. Well, then after a while, it slowed down a little bit, but they kept changing things. And then we came up to where we got Trump in office. Yes. Trump's a damn good man. He knows what he's doing. And I know, because I worked on the Hill in D.C., and I know what those jackasses are like, pardon me, like. But when he got in office, they had to get rid of him. So they tried to impeach him. They couldn't do it. So then they came out with the coronavirus. But it didn't work. And now they've got these guys on the streets doing this again. And this is a repeat of back when I came home from Nam. Only they're using the cops now, because they won't go after the guys that are causing the problems. They go after the people that are trying to protect us, because if they can stop that, then they can take over our country, and that's what they want to do. And this all has to stop. And all this stuff with the mask and everything else is a game. And I know that personally. And that's what's happening. And we have to stand up as a people and realize that the only way we're going to stop this is we have to all get out there and make our voices heard. And they can get out and riot, but we should get out and have rallies, just like we had when we got the Tea Party started here in St. Louis. We need to get out there, we need to get people together, and we need to get them to voice their opinions, to let people know that we're standing together as a people, and we're going to bring our country back. Because if we don't, next year we'll be in a progressive hell. We'll be in communism up to our necks. And it's got to end. We have to take control. And there are vets that are going to stand up. We're already planning on standing up if we have to. And we're going to change things, but we need the people to stand up too, because this is our country. Politicians don't rule us. They work for us. But because of the way they've been handling things for so many years, they think they control everything we do. And we have to stop that. And that's what our president's trying to stop right now. Absolutely. Now, I want to bring this up because a lot of people don't know about it. There was a movie made in 2016. Yes. And it explains the truth about this whole thing. What was the movie? The movie is called Amerigeddon. Amerigeddon. And what it does is the politicians get together with the UN, and they get together with the Russians and China, and they start locking us down for different reasons. The next thing you know, they're coming in to take over the country. Right. And that has to stop. But if you go to Walmart, you can pick that movie up for $5.
And what's it called again?
Amerigeddon.
Amerigeddon, okay.
But if we don't stand up as people who are good Americans, if we don't stand up and make sure that we outnumber these idiots that are out there making a bunch of noise, we're going to lose our country. And I'll tell you what, I would rather give my life than lose my country to people like that.
Yes.
And we need help. We need to stop this. And the politicians aren't going to do it, and nobody else is going to do it. We've got to do it, just like we did with the Tea Party. Now, just to let people know one thing.
Yeah.
I have experience in D.C. because all my brothers were killing themselves, running motorcycles off the road, slamming into trees with their cars and stuff. We had a situation. We had a situation where they had nowhere to go and nothing to do, and they killed themselves.
This was in D.C.?
This is all over the country. So I went up to D.C. on January 1st of 1984, and I was going to shove a knife in my chest on the steps because the guys were getting 10% for PTSD and out on the streets and 100% and locked in a hospital. And I went up there were no politicians there because it was January 1st, and I didn't know that. So I wound up sitting a vigil for 6 months. And it was to bring home the remaining POWs. And then at the end of that, I went up to visit a friend of mine's house. And he was up in his home state. While I was there, his senator came in and he was going to do a town hall meeting. So, you know, I went to go talk to him. I had been given access to the Pentagon papers, so I know the truth about the POWs. And he was saying some things, and I asked him some questions about the POWs. And he lied. And I said, sir, that's not true. He says, well, yeah, it is. Yeah. I said, no, it's not. And I told him what I knew. He went, okay. So he came over, walked over to me when it was over, and I thought he was going to come up and, you know, pretty much throw my ass in jail. Yeah. He came up and he says, Mike, are you going back down to D.C.? And I said, yeah. He says, I'd like to have you work out of my office as my vet rep. And I was a vet. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll do it.
Yes.
All right. So when I got down there, I got into his office. And when I got in there, I asked his chief aide, I said, how does a civilian get a bill through Congress? She said, oh, that's easy. Sex, drugs, money, or power. And I went, yeah, that's funny. No, that's true. I asked his chief aide, you know, when she said that, and I said, what about the people? She says, they know what they want. We know what they need.
Absolutely.
All right. So then 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at the congressman's desk, and we're talking about some veterans issues. And the secretary comes in. She says, Senator, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so from your home district, you told them to come down here, that you're going to help them out with their daughter. He says, oh, yeah, have them come in. Well, if they want you to talk with them, they'll sit at the desk. When you come up, they'll stand up and shake your hand. Otherwise, they meet him at the door. And he walked up and he put his arms around the lady. He says, I want to let you know, I'm sorry about this. My people are working on this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we're going to fix it. Don't worry about it. Went over, did the same thing with her husband. Yeah. Okay. And then he told them, as long as you're here, because I asked you to come down here, if you want to stay in a hotel, if you want to, you know, go to a theater, or you want to do something else that costs money, tell him to call me, I'll cover it. Yeah. And I'm thinking, that's a really nice guy. He came back and sat down, and I said, what was that all about? And you'll have to excuse this. He says, I haven't got the slightest fucking idea. So I told him to screw himself. Right. Can you imagine what politician that was?
Who?
Joe Biden.
You talked to Joe Biden?
I worked with Joe Biden for 2 weeks.
Listen, this is not, I don't want this to be the end of the conversation. I'd like to pick this up and where we leave off.
Yeah.
Tell me your name again.
My name's Mike Kilgus.
Mike Kilgus?
When I was in Washington, it was Hagan, because I have two names, Hagan and Kilgus.
Okay, Mr. Hagan, Mr. Kilgus, I appreciate it. God bless you, sir, and thank you for being a patriot and a veteran and serving our country boldly. And continue to stand up for us and stand up for God and our nation. So
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'd like people to know that I've been doing medical research independently for 30-some years, uncovering the medical practices that are not professional, that are not correct, and finding ways to alleviate health problems with alternatives that do not influence people's health in other ways. I've been successful in that in a number of areas, but the important thing now is I've been studying viruses down to the RNA level, and what we've got going on right now with the COVID virus is a lie. Absolutely. There is no COVID virus. They're using the coronavirus, which is a series of viruses, over 1,000 of them, that make up colds and flus. They're using those numbers to apply to the COVID virus. If you watch carefully when they talk about their tests, they say they're testing for the coronavirus. If you've had the flu or a cold within the last 6 years, you'll show up active for the corona, one of the thousands of viruses out there.
Isn't it true that no matter what coronavirus you've had in the past, if you take this test, it's going to show up and say you got COVID-19?
It shows up and says you have a coronavirus.
It says you have a coronavirus, not specifically the COVID-19.
It can't do that. You have to send in for a very expensive, very lengthy sample to be done at an RNA lab, where they actually break down the RNA strands so they can see what it is and compare it to a real COVID-19 virus, and there is no such virus out there on the market right now. They can't compare it to anything. The only test is through that RNA test. So what they're saying is they're doing a coronavirus test, and we are extrapolating and saying, oh, it's a COVID-19 test. The other thing there is COVID-19 stands for Coronavirus ID 2019. It is not a specific virus. There is no threat. There's no violence. If you have a virus, a flu virus that lasts from November 15th to April 15th, after that, your skin is exposed with your short sleeve shirts, shorts, face, whatever. When you're out in the sun, you absorb sunlight through your skin, your collagen converts it to D3, and the D3 kills the virus. During the winter time, you're all bundled up, staying inside, you don't have any D3, so you'll catch the flu more than likely.
Correct.
So it's all ridiculous, and it's all about money. If you go into a hospital and you are listed as COVID, they get $6,000 more if you're on Medicare. $6,000 more just because you're on Medicare and have COVID. If you go,
who's paying the $6,000? The federal government or
Medicare?
Medicare. So essentially, it's taxpayer funded.
So it's insurance fraud, yeah.
It's insurance fraud.
So then, if they claim they put you on a ventilator, they get $35,000 for that. Again,
$35,000.
$35,000. Medicare pays for that again. Our tax dollars.
What's the 30?
If worse yet, and we wonder why the state's involved in this, for every COVID death that they claim, there's $173,000 in grant money they receive. For every COVID death in the state of Missouri, there's $173,000 in grant money the state gets. Now, why are they insisting on the emergency? Because they continue to get the money for COVID if there's an emergency and we claim these deaths. If you get crushed by a car, run over by a train, shot by a gun, it's all COVID.
You're marked with COVID, yeah. It's definitely a scam.
If you have someone you want to kill right now, just do that and put a sign on saying COVID, and they'll blame it on COVID. Anyway, enough humor with it.
We appreciate your help again, and then tell me your name.
Dr. John Glasgow.
Dr. John Glasgow, it's been a pleasure, and thank you also for your service as well.
Thank you.
God bless you, and thank you for standing up for our country and being bold and speaking the truth.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, amen.
Have a good day.
All right, Mr. Glasgow.
My name's Randy Larson. I have 5 kids. I'm an entrepreneur. We own businesses and nonprofits here in St. Louis. I'm not a typical politician. I'm just a guy. What we are here for is for one reason. It is to stop the government mandates and the overreach into our private lives. We want to take back control of our businesses, our churches, communities, families, and schools. There are too many decisions of great magnitude happening right now that we don't have the data for, accuracy or transparency of data, and even if we did have it, there's just not enough justification at a 99.97% survivability rate with COVID to shut everything down or to severely restrict it. We want our power back, we want our liberties back. It's been 6 months, it's not what we expected. We don't have a second wave right now. If that happens, then we can reconsider. But for right now, we want our liberty back, and Sam Page to stop unilaterally mandating our lives.
And you've seen on the news how Wuhan, China is already open. They have no masks, live concerts, water parks packed with people, thousands of people. If anything, we should be open by now. Let's see. Do you have any comment about that?
No, I mean there are different countries that are open right now. You look at Sweden versus the other European countries. Look at Brazil versus Peru. There was soft lockdowns in these places and hard lockdowns in other places, and the death rates and the ICU visits and the admissions are very similar. It's just not evident that the lockdowns and the incessant mask mandates are actually affecting change the way that we thought that they would.
Very good. And then if somebody wants to find out more information or get connected with you, is there a good place they can go to? A website?
Yeah, we're at facesforfreedom.org or Faces for Freedom on our Facebook page, and so we're welcoming anybody to come. You know, like I said, I am a full-time, dad and all that stuff, and so we're doing our best with the time that we have, as well as a lot of parents that are doing online school with their kids, and so we're looking for help. We're looking for help to say this is a democracy, and that we should have a decision in the type of magnitude of decisions that we have right here.
Okay, thank you so much. Tell me your name again.
Randy Larson.
Very good. And then the organization once more?
facesforfreedom.org.
All right.
Well, I would say on a medical perspective, what I'm seeing is there's a lot of fraud going on. So I'm hearing from my patients that they were in line to get tests for COVID, left the line, and got calls days later saying that they were positive, and they were never tested.
So they were never tested, and these are
Never
people
tested.
these are people you've interacted with on a personal basis.
Right.
Now, can you tell me, do you work here in a hospital in St. Louis?
I work at a clinic
In a clinic?
Yes. In
Now, do you have any information? I've tried calling hospitals, and they say, well, that information we can't give you, sir. I said, how many COVID patients do you actually have there that are sick?
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like the news is telling me the truth.
Right.
Do you have any idea about the information about that?
That is tough because there's a lot of fraud going on in various areas. So
Okay.
for one, the swab test is inaccurate.
Okay.
It's giving false positives. So we've had people get swab tests and then get our lab work, and they come out differently. So they would get a swab test, and then they would get a blood test, and the swab test would say positive and the blood test would say negative.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing and hearing from people on the ground, not on the media, but boots on the ground, people saying that there's fraud going on.
Absolutely.
And so the testing is very questionable. And it's just
So you
unbelievable.
Again, you said these people waited in line. They never took the test, never had the swab go in their nose, and yet they had some sort of documentation or a phone call that said
Yes.
you were positive for coronavirus.
Yes, and they would tell them I was never tested.
Do you know the agencies that are sending these reports back to these people, or the companies?
I'm not recalling where they had it done, but I've had several patients tell me that same story.
Okay.
Hey, I just want to say that I am for freedom and that our constitutional rights are being trampled on, and they want to put masks on us to protect others. But what are we exactly protecting someone from if we are not sick? So I'm not sure exactly what we're supposed to be protecting anyone from when we, especially those who I know have been tested for COVID, come out negative yet are still forced to wear a mask. So I'd like to know exactly what is it that they think that we're protecting someone from if we do not have this illness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you have any family members, anybody you know has personally been affected or impacted by COVID?
Well, besides my daughter who works where she has to wear a mask,
Yeah.
she has been sick 2 times just from wearing this mask with respiratory problems.
It's from the mask itself?
From the mask itself, because she's been tested both times and has to quarantine 2 weeks, so she can't go to work. And she's been negative both times. And then she gets over it, but then as soon as she goes back to work and after several, days or whatever of wearing the mask again, then she
Yeah.
ends up sick again. So that's how we've been affected the most, and then just not being able to freely
Where does she have to wear this mask? For
at a
school?
mall.
At a mall.
At a mall to work.
So she's working at the mall. She's got to have this mask stuck on her face.
Yes.
And is it written in the company policy you have to wear the mask?
Yes, because
Did they-
it's St. Louis County. So yeah,
Wow.
every employee has to wear them. Yeah,
Yeah, I know people who got sick earlier this year.
yeah,
But this was before testing or anything was possible.
right.
Some people had mild symptoms. Some people had severe symptoms, but they got over it.
Exactly.
They did the old remedy cures. Now,
Yeah.
it could have been COVID, but we have no idea. Now,
Right.
because the tests are inaccurate, it's hard to actually even know.
True.
Because I just talked to the doctor.
There's a
and
lot
he
of
said
conflicting information out there.
all of the tests.
Yet only one side is being able to run the decisions for everyone.
That's it. Ahead.
So the only person I've been personally in contact with, I haven't been personally in contact with him, but I know personally that has had COVID recently, had a headache and lost their taste. And that's all. So now they have to leave college and quarantine themselves. So for and then get retested, I believe. So, but that is the other side of, how we've been affected by it. But to me, I don't understand how we're shutting down counties and masking everyone, and these are the type of symptoms that we're seeing now. And like in Jefferson County, we've had 0 deaths under the age of 40, and I believe only 8 deaths under the age of 70. And that's been since the beginning. Yet they're not really they have this report down in their data, but they don't display it like they display all the cases. So they're only making decisions on shutting everything down based on cases. But yet we all know there's cases that are false positive, there's cases that are asymptomatic, there's cases that are mostly mild symptoms anymore, yet we're gonna mask everyone, shut down our businesses, and I don't understand. Like, we flattened the curve, we did what they asked, and now they're oppressing us even more with their mandates when we have no deaths happening except in nursing homes where everyone is masked and no visitors are allowed in. So how do masks work? How does social distancing work if the only people dying in our county are the elderly that are locked down in nursing homes where everyone is forced to wear a mask? So that's what I don't understand.
Situation, but it's people like you and I who are the catalyst for change. So just
Absolutely.
keep standing up for the truth. Remember, God wins in the end.
Absolutely. Thank you.